Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, home of gambling, hotels themed around places you wish you could travel to, and custom cars? Well, why not? If you just want a lot of money gambling, you've got to spend it on something awesome, right? We've covered a few shows that take place in or had races around Las Vegas. This is TUNANOCRUST, and we're looking at the cast of Vegas Rat Rods and what they're up to right now and who still works at the garage today. Watch till the end to find out. First, if you notice something a little off about the cars on screen, you're right. We're used to talking about hot rods, but rat rods are a little different. A hot rod is meant to look polished even though it's still a custom job. A rat rod is a slightly different animal because it uses cheap tarnished parts to create vehicles that look straight out of Mad Max. The cars still run, the difference is mostly aesthetic. If you like junkyard art, then a rat rod might be up your alley. And whether you like the aesthetic or not, Vegas Rat Rods caused a stir in the automotive world. Its host, Steve Darnell, has been compared to a mad scientist. Even though not everybody liked the show, it was popular enough that questions arose when certain members left the cast. So, how different is the show? At its core, it's pretty close to things like Fast and Loud or American Chopper. Like the other shows we've covered, Vegas Rat Rods was about Welderup Garage modifying cars. The show was also called Sin City Motors, so if this sounds familiar, you may have seen it under a different name. The first episode aired in April of 2014 in Canada. After the show proved popular, it spread to other areas. The show follows the everyday activities of the members of Welderup Garage. Usually, a client brings in a car that they want to be modified. It's not always so damaged that it could be called scrap, but the people who bring in their cars know that they're getting an unusual and unique piece of art in the end. The results have had visitors on TripAdvisor tearing up. But these cars aren't just art. The art of Welderup works. The motto of Vegas Rat Rods was, "Make it run again." Every crew member contributes to the creative process with unmatched passion and drive. They don't do drama, don't do petty, and search for old skeletons of cars to breathe new life into them. The cars are also described as being Frankensteined. Spooky, right? If you want one of these cars, you'd better have some pretty big Vegas winnings, because this truly is art for them. Welderup charges somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000 per piece. The famous Jokermobile cost $75,000, a price that nobody should laugh at. If you want to buy artwork, prepare your bank account. We'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Established Titles. Now, what if you were watching an episode of Street Outlaws and one of the drivers comes up and has a name like Lord Jesse Rawlings? You're probably sitting there like, Lord what? Well, guess what? That could be a real official name. Cool, right? Want to know how you could officially put Lord or Lady in front of your name? Well, Established Titles is the place to go. It is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to lairds, the Scottish term for lords and ladies. With Established Titles, you can own up to 10 square feet of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official Lord or Lady certificate with a crest. With every order, Established Titles plants one tree working with global charities, one tree planted, and trees for the future to support global reforestation efforts. On top of that, you can officially change your name to Lord or Lady, add it to your credit card, etc. You can even put it on your dating profiles. What's really cool is the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot, within a few minutes walking distance. Depending on how many of you want to become a Lord or Lady, we can build our own TUNANOCRUST kingdom. Established Titles is running a massive sale right now, and it's a great opportunity to snag the perfect last-minute gift. Head to establishedtitles.com/TUNANOCRUST and use TUNANOCRUST to support the channel and get an additional 10% off. Now, let's get back into the video. Darnell also designs cars for charitable causes. The most famous of these, the D-Rod or Destroyer, was built to honor World War II veterans. This vehicle was dedicated to Darnell's grandfather, Keith Crabb, who served on a torpedo boat destroyer. The car carries a 1,200-horse Cummins and 4 bottles of nitrous. He had also made cars for charity auctions, such as one inspired by a 2-year-old's fight against cancer. Sometimes Darnell will have an idea and wait for the right moment to use it. Currently, 4 seasons of Vegas Rat Rods are available on Amazon Prime and Discovery Plus. A 5th season was planned for 2020, but certain things kept it from happening that year. That 5th season is still in limbo for now. Interestingly, MSN.com has a full listing of episode titles, but the episodes themselves are nowhere to be seen. We suspect an error on their part. You may want to follow Welderup Garage on social media to see if the show ever comes back. But who are the people behind these post-apocalyptic cars, and what are they doing today? Is the garage still active on the streets of Sin City? And could any of them potentially come back in Season 5? Let's take a look. You'll be happy to know that Welderup Garage, the setting of Vegas Rat Rods, is doing just fine. Not only do they still modify cars, but they hold welding classes and give tours of the cars from the show. They also host weddings. Bet you didn't see that one coming. That's a different kind of Vegas wedding. So the garage is fine, but what about the technicians? Let's take a look at every cast member over the years and see how many stuck around. Maybe they'll all reunite for Season 5, but you'll see later why you shouldn't get comfortable with that idea. The main man of the garage is Steve Darnell. This Montana native has always been involved with cars, or at least metal. His dad worked in steel and encouraged his son to help with his job. He also enjoyed wrestling in high school, and his wrestling coach was one of his first clients. Legend has it that the bicycle he made for his wrestling coach was so well done that the bike has been passed from mother to daughter to this day. His passion persisted. Before it made rat rods, Welderup made agricultural equipment. Now it makes custom cars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Speaking of kids, Darnell has 2 sons, but his wife is a mystery. Due to him calling their mother his ex-wife, we can safely assume that Mr. Darnell is now a single dad. Darnell wants to encourage parents to work on automotive projects with their kids, so if something happens to him, his sons and grandkids will probably take over the family business. You can follow Steve, Chase, and Cash Darnell on their individual social media pages. They still work at the garage and update their pages regularly. Michelle T. Travis Deeter started tweaking drag bikes and cars when he was still small. He has always been a welder, fabricator, and artist, able to blend all of those assets seamlessly. He offers this talent to every car the garage modifies. Deeter also still works on cars and other customs at the Welderup shop. He updates his YouTube channel with projects. The last post was around 4 months ago, so he's still hard at work. Barber Dave has always been the funny one on Vegas Rat Rods. The official website says that he was raised by good parents and a healthy dose of punk rock. He does all the upholstery and is considered the odd one out. That also means he feels like he has to do more work to prove himself. But the site also implies that the rat rods are Barber Dave's hobby rather than his profession. He is technically a barber and artisan instead. When he's not cutting metal, he cuts hair in Utah. He hasn't left, but leads a double life. Even his barbershop has a punk hot rod vibe. Justin Kramer is still a welder at the garage. He was born in Pahrump, Nevada, and began welding at age 13. His first few attempts with his grandmother's welding rod almost cost him the farm. Literally. He is a third-generation welder and shows no sign of stopping. It feels like his destiny was mapped out in his 2 miles of welding. That said, he can weld anything. Rumor has it that Steve Darnell married and broke up with Kramer's sister, but he still works at the garage. That's dedication. You can see what Justin Kramer is up to on his Instagram. Moving on, Merlin Johnson was something of a prodigy. At the age of 7, Johnson installed a 175cc engine into a go-kart. He has more than 40 years of diesel experience and specializes in 12-valve Cummins engines. He met Steve Darnell at a car show and claims that a ride in the famous D-Rod Destroyer changed his life. Judging by Johnson's name appearing on the website, he also still works at the garage. That life change was for the better. See more about what he does on his website. Twiggy Tallant has always been a woman working in a man's field. We covered a bit of what that's like in our video on All Girls Garage. She's also an actress and model who left those arenas after falling in love with rat rods in Vegas. She also happens to be an exotic dancer. She took an internship at the garage, found that she adored working on cars, and the rest is history. Twiggy left the show to undertake a welding program at Georgia Brown College. She has since completed said program but was a fan favorite. Maybe she'll come back for another season, who knows? She still posts things under her The Nerdy Stripper name on social media. But FYI, she's taken. Of all the people who left though, she's the most likely to come back if asked. Cheyenne Ruther was another woman who made a brief appearance on Vegas Rat Rods. She enjoyed playing with cars at the tender age of 6 and quickly moved into collisions, repairs, and other technician jobs. She had an auto body apprenticeship at age 15. She also has an acting and modeling career. One of the main reasons she got onto the show was because the director of the show saw her work in a magazine and scouted her out. She has a real passion for cars. Even in her modeling shoots, she must have a car in the photo. There were unfortunately many reasons that Ruther left the show. The worst accusation is that the show did not let her show her expertise. She was also originally only signed for 1 episode, but the powers that be made her do 3 more. Finally, she wanted to spend more time with her baby daughter. That said, Ruther asserts that the men at Welderup were accommodating and accepting. We don't really know where Ruther is today. Some online sources mention other film credits for Cheyenne Ruther, but IMDb still lists only Vegas Rat Rods. Other sources mention plans to move to another country. Maybe she's using an alias. In that case, please limit any extra information to legal, publicly available sources. All we know is that she is not working an 8-to-5 job. Finally, one could argue that Grant Schwartz was never a good fit for the show. He and Darnell never saw eye to eye. Schwartz was appalled by how disorganized the shop was. It just wasn't how he did things. He also butted heads with Darnell the boss on multiple occasions. Both men were very stubborn. By the 3rd season, he seemed to have adapted and accepted that he would not be the one making the decision. Even his hiring process may have been awkward, more on that later. Another issue was that Schwartz never lived in Las Vegas. He had a shop and home with a wife and kids in Elmira, Ontario, Canada. He filmed in Las Vegas in 7 to 8 month stretches that took him away from his family. He was not happy on the TV show. Schwartz nonetheless had 2 decades of work under his belt and stayed longer than Ruther. More power to him for working on a TV show when he had gout. We barely noticed. In an interview for the 2020 Motorama show, Schwartz said, "Working on the TV show was completely different from anything else I've ever done. But it was a great learning experience. Everyone builds in their own fashion, and watching those extremely talented people work has translated into some great new ideas and procedures for me in my own business." Schwartz left Vegas Rat Rods after approximately 2 years. Even though he and Steve had a rocky relationship, he just wanted to get back to Ontario and work on personal projects. In his case, those projects will probably center around custom trucks. Sounds kick-ass. Is there a show about that yet? Look up the Schwartz Welding Fabrication Shop for more information on what projects Grant Schwartz is working on. His creative approach to vehicles is from the steering wheel on down, and he only makes vehicles that are drivable, enjoyable, and safe. Now, there's a funny trend with the people who have left. Vegas Rat Rods is or was obligated to have at least 1 Canadian staff member. Schwartz, Ruther, and Tallant all fulfilled that requirement in different seasons. But some mysterious last words from Ruther hinted that the requirement might change in the future. Maybe we'll get season 5 after all. But there's a decent chance that our Canadian friends may not be making a return appearance if the show changed funding sources. So most of the workers at Welderup are still there. Those that are not are, well, Canadian and got the job as the best fit while meeting a quota for the network. They also left to pursue other careers in welding or vehicle customization. Except we don't know what Ruther is doing. Leave a comment if you know about her plans or other film credits. While we're on the topic of stuff you should comment about, now it's time to ask you. What are your thoughts on the show Vegas Rat Rods or Rat Rods in general? Do you like the worn-down Mad Max look? Would you like to see spin-offs featuring Grant or Twiggy if they got funded? And finally, if you won money in Vegas, what would you spend your casino winnings on? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to make sure you don't miss any more videos. We'll see you next time.